Okay. Say something, Dave.
Hello, hello, hello. Uh,
It is only showing me, even though I logged in from the Zoom. That is strange. Okay. Say something, Dave. Let me try that
Hello,
again.
hello, hello.
Let me try that again. Oh,
There we go.
all right. It's showing you now. All right. Welcome to the BrainDrive weekly development call update. Starting 1 minute late due to a technical difficulty, but we're here and we're excited. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to make it easy to build, control, and benefit from your own AI system. I'm Dave Waring, and I handle the operations side here at BrainDrive.
And I'm David Jones, and I handle the tech side of the operations here.
Great. So we're excited to be presenting to you every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time the progress from the previous week, what we plan to work on next week. And usually, if we have time, we discuss one big picture topic. So, Dave, you want to kick us off with the development progress from last week?
Yeah, sure. Let's go to sharing, I guess, and so that we can talk and walk. There we go. And yep, screen two, share. So on the roadmap, of course, we were aiming towards the open beta. We're doing pretty good here. We don't have it checked off yet, but we've improved the registrations with messages that inform the user better and more appropriately of what's going on. So if they have a bad password, bad username, password's not long enough, doesn't have enough strings, that kind of thing. The Olama provider, we have Matt's additions now fully embedded that he did for Olama, and so that you can manage whichever Olama server you're connected to, and you can have more than one. You can manage, you can download a model, you can delete the model from right there within BrainDrive. You do not need to go to a prompt anymore or exit. The one-click installer is still sitting right where it was at. We didn't get enough time, and that was kind of a maybe anyways. It was like, hey, if we can get perfect world, if we got that everything quick, and it was like, oh, this is no biggie, then we got to the installer. We didn't quite get there. But we're dealing with developers, so our install process is pretty smooth from a developer standpoint. For Katie, we still have to get that fired up, that working great. And even for developers, for me, with a one-click installer, with some of the functionality that we have in there, like being able to adjust ports, so that you could have multiple copies if you wanted to have I'll call it production, the one that you use every day. And then if you're a developer, you could have one that you're developing on. And so that if you're like me, I have my code screwed up half the time where I can't use it. I need to have two copies, one that I can use, and then one that I can develop use. So that is I view as an important feature, not just for Katie, but also even for developers. And that's where we're at right there as far as the roadmap goes. Any questions, Dave?
No, it's that's as expected, and I'll mark off improving the
Yep.
registration and the Olama provider after the call.
Okay. Yep. I brought it up, but I just didn't get to it. No, that's not where we want to go. Let's go to. Oh, that's on my other screen. There we go. We'll move it over. This is what BrainDrive looks like. Let's see what we got through here. Well, the first big thing, Dave is on par with the rest of us now. He can actually play with this screen better. And just in case anybody hits this, and I never like to give this advice because it wasn't the first thing I told Dave. Dave was like, "Hey, why don't I try this?" And I was like, "Nothing else is working." But if you try to maneuver something in the page builder and it does not, we can't tell you what he had wrong, but it took redoing entire Windows setup to get it right. So it's not a React issue. It's just, as you develop on a system, you do hose it better than most things could ever do. Any virus, in fact, let a developer touch your machine, and it's basically like a virus. Because like mine require being rebuilt constantly. That's why I like to have two, so that when it gets to the point where I'm noticing it getting shaky, I can put it down and just work from the other one, and that way I'm never like out for a week. But yes, we now have this, so it's working as smooth as we ever wanted, and like we envisioned, where you can just, oh, let me grab the handlebar. There we go. And there's no more. Oh, ooh, you wanted to, oh, that's right, because it's at the very top. But if I had something where I could just move it over and it'll do it, there's no more bounce involved. So we're back to being pristine like we had always wanted to be. Uh, few other little things we probably discussed on publishing. If you ever go to publishing and you hit easy publish and you didn't save, it does save for you now automatically. This way you don't have a hiccup because I know Dave did it a few times watching it. I've done it multiple times moving through too fast where I didn't save and I ended up publishing a page that I didn't want to see anymore. Um, we do have one, I'll be honest with everybody, one little issue with, I don't know how to describe it. I'll call them ghost modules, for lack of better words, where you'll put one down, and if you had one before, the other one will vanish, or you'll get one from another page that pop in. And I think what that's dealing with is there's a caching issue from moving from page to page. And I believe one of the components or that components on that page are getting stuck in the cache and not cleared correctly. So that's on my to-do list, and Dave caught it and already put it on the issue.
Are you
So
having the issue with the page going off the screen that I showed you too, or is that just me?
nope, that is you. No, that's right. That's us.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No. 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 We do have it. And that when I seen it hit, I was like, I'm going to target that when I get to responsiveness of the page and the control, because that's what it all deals with. And I didn't want to open that can of worms when I was focused on the bounce issues and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because then you get in, you're trying to do too much at one time.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah. So that was yeah. We both have the issue right there. And basically what it
It
comes
actually
down.
makes me feel better that we both have it. I worry about things where it's like random, you know. I
Yep.
feel like if we're both having the issue, then you're like, okay, this is an issue. Let me dig into it. Let me address it because it's a system issue versus like something weird
Yeah,
happening with my
exactly.
computer or whatever.
No, I believe you're on par with everything now. So it's like you're experiencing everything everybody else is experiencing.
Great.
Let's see. Over the weekend, when I got back, one of the things I did tackle was the open router API key. That took far more coding than I expected to do. And I think mainly it was because I was dealing with somebody else's code and just didn't start from scratch. And uh,
I think
Dave
the
and I,
lesson here for us on this one is we tried to have someone work ahead of you, you know, to give you and that's we shouldn't do that. We should have developers work at a pace where you're able to review their work
yep.
on an ongoing basis. So,
That was the same thing I was going to, behind the scenes, we were going to have that same conversation. No more are people going to be allowed to be ahead of me. Or if we're like, you need to focus on this, I also need to allow time for, especially if they're working for us in that regard, to allow time to actually test what they're doing and see what they're doing. Because I did notice that he took some shortcuts.
yeah.
And it was kind of crazy. He was like, I'm sitting there looking at a video and the video showing it's working. How come your installer doesn't work?
Yeah.
And those kind of things. And then I found out why and how he got to that point. And so, as I said before, it was when I first seen him, it was like he needs to clean up the interface, which is what I did. So I made the interface look like everything else we're doing. So it falls in sync. The keys now save just like they should. I'm not going to expose this simply because it's my real key in there for testing. I do not have the back end portion. I'm still trying to figure out what he did on the back end to get his to work. So I don't know. I don't know if that's because of the chat plugin I was using, wasn't using his updated code, which could be. And I'm going to be a little cautious there because we have Matt coming behind me with the BrainDrive chat plugin and all the work there. So there's almost no point in me getting too far ahead of him in this
Okay.
case. So my hope is we have, I believe, a Thursday call with him. That goes really smooth. I can get my hands on the code, and then I will figure out what changes need to take place so that all of these plugins that I'm going to now redo will work smoothly with it,
Yeah,
and
and
we'll have
I
open router.
think for now, if we have open router, that's good.
Yep.
And there's a lot of other more important work right now than adding all the other API based plugins that we've developed up to this point. If
Yeah,
it's
I've
not just going to be simple and easy.
Yeah, I took notes on what I had to change to get this working so that because I'm assuming he followed the same pattern throughout all of them. And I already it took 6 hours yesterday. I expected 2 to 3. That's what I even told my wife when I was working. This will only take a little bit. And then 6 hours later,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're going to have to figure out, we don't seem to be having much success with other developers building that aren't tightly integrated into the team, basically, right now. So we'll have to figure that out. Oh, I lost your sound. Hold on one second.
nope, that was me. I hit my
Okay.
button. Nope.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think I've came to the conclusion that because when I designed, as I said, with the life cycle manager, right now everything's exposed. I'm going to have to build a layer on top of that, which will just be something very short of plug in your data and it runs.
Yeah.
And if you want to get fancy, you can still get fancy, but there's going to have to be an easy button right in front of that for the general the mill plugin. Um,
Yeah.
but some good things came out of this. It was I'm not going to shoot on anybody on this like that. We for plugins, if you have to do settings and stuff like that, I did have fun and figure out how to make sure that everything's self-contained in your own little plugin. So like we were talking about pages, I now have definitions working, and that's the advantage of me doing a plugin right now is I know the code, so I can push it. And so now I have a demonstration for if somebody else wants to do this of, hey, this is how you take care of those kind of things. So it's
Right.
not all spinning my wheels or anything like that. It's just, hey, sometimes when you get your hands dirty and you learn more than sitting there just pointing your finger and letting somebody else do it. But now we have some good examples of how to do this. The interface follows suit, which is I think for our core plugins, it's important for us to have a kind of SOP what we want them to look like, a style guide, so to speak. And then if somebody else wants to say, hey, no, I want it to be purple, you can do purple all you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see what else. No, my little experiment pages. Um, yep, that's all. Um, and that's all we got done. I say all. We got the bounce issue. That was a big thing for last week.
That was the big
Yeah,
one.
yeah, exactly. I have it working. When I showed Dave the new page builder a long time ago, it was like recoded and it was like bounce is working. Then I had to do one thing. I did one thing, created a bounce, and I was like, okay, we gotta clean that up because it works really smooth when it's supposed to, like it does now.
Yep.
But so we're getting there.
Cool.
Uh,
Let me just bring up the agenda here. Bum. All right. Matt submitted another pull request for the new chat interface. Have you had a chance to look at that yet,
no,
Dave?
okay. I do not know. Him and I might be out of sync because I did try it last week when I gave a few form notes because I tried it on two different systems and I got two different results. So
Okay.
I do not know if I had a system out of sync or did he have something missing.
Okay.
Um, or it could be a combination of both because I was like, the one part led me to believe that I had something bad on my machine. So that's when I jumped to number two. And then when I was jumping to number two, he had requirement issues. And I could see the requirements in the code. So that was supposed to be there and they should have been in the requirements, but they weren't in the requirements. And that's when I asked about like beautiful soup and stuff like that. So I'll have to get with him. We'll get that ironed out. So it installs for everybody.
Can you
You
post in the forum about that so
I,
we
I
can?
I thought I
Oh,
did.
you
No,
did.
okay, no.
Okay.
I didn't do it in the forum. I did on GitHub. That's what. Okay, so I can do it in the forum. So it's all in the same conversation because he has stuff there before.
Yeah, I think it's fine
Yeah.
to point to post it as a GitHub issue and then point, him to the GitHub
Yeah.
issue
Yeah,
from the forum.
I put it in the PR actually when he did because he did a pull request.
Okay.
And
So
I
he
did
should
when I
see that
Yep.
because he
No,
should get an alert
he
on
did
that.
comment and I think the difference is
Oh, great.
I haven't done chat with documents. You've done chat with documents. And I believe his not his Beck's chat with documents probably uses beautiful soup. So you already had the requirement sitting there from doing Beck stuff. I
I haven't
believe
done
that.
anything with Matt's
Oh, you didn't?
plugins.
Okay, okay. I thought you had it
Yeah.
installed. My fault.
Nope.
Nope, that
Can
was
I
an assumption.
install it?
Yeah, you can try it. I do not know what your I do not know what your mileage will get you. I know I had two issues, and like I said, one I believe I'm 100% certain was mine because it was a dev machine, and
So
I
Matt
needed.
knows what
Yep,
you ran into and he's on it basically.
yep, yep. He's
Okay.
either on it or we get done with this call. I am going to check back with him and to make sure to find out where he's at so that because like I said, I have open router issues I want to get fixed, and I know I have to be in the plugin. So if I can be in his and clean it up, that works better for everybody.
Yeah, and I think definitely put the issues in the GitHubs. I think we've centralized around
Hmm.
GitHub as our place where we're tracking issues, and I think that should be true for obviously default plugins, but also non-default plugins, third-party plugins. But then the forum can point to those issues just to
Yep,
keep people who aren't involved, but people who aren't developing actively but are interested in following the progress, which I'm the example of in
yep,
this example. I'll see it on the forum, and you don't need to. I don't think we need to duplicate the information. It's just like, hey, there's a couple issues. Here they are on the
yep.
GitHub. Here's the link, to the GitHub for anybody who's interested.
Yeah, because right now it's only only a few of us, but in 1 year's time, we'll have Katie,
Yeah.
and she won't care what the code looks like. She
Yeah.
just wants to know that, oh, but this issue is being fixed and is being
Yeah.
talked about.
Yep.
And so, okay, when we say, okay, it's wrapped up, she's just going to install. She's never
Yeah.
going to touch the code, look at the code. She won't even look
Right.
at the issue.
Right. Okay. Good. So that's Matt. And then Navaneeth had a good call with him on Friday. He's developed the personal finance framework and is going to be
Hmm.
shooting the video early this week for the new evaluator. That'll give us 4. That gives us article summarization, therapy, email
Email.
writing, and personal
Yeah.
finance.
Yep.
He's going to work on the 5th after this one, which he's starting on this week, the framework for, and do the video the following week, which is health related questions and
Yep.
evaluator for that. And we talked about once we have those 5, that's a pretty good base to then come up with an overall score. Like, how does a model perform across all 5 of those
Yep.
things? And I think, that's not done at that point, but I think that's our beta. That's our open beta
Yep.
for Model Match is here's the concept. Here's the first 5 rough draft evaluators. Here's the scores. Here's the models. Here's the overall score. Let us know what you think.
Yep.
What are we doing right? What can we improve? And then we can go back and polish all those videos. And at that point, BrainDrive should be good to go to integrate into the videos and all of that as the system that's showcasing the models, which will get us a lot of hopefully good a good awareness of
Yep.
BrainDrive through the model match product and help build that marketing flywheel that
Yeah.
I posted
Because,
about on the forum and we talked about last week.
yep. Yep. Because we can start doing some plugins so that you could do your own evaluation on models that you've pulled down. We could really
Yeah.
open the doors on that barn, so to speak.
Yep. Yep. And all right. And then uh I should be able to download and install and use the Beck plugin now, and then I'll follow up with him this week to make sure we're still on track with all the stuff that he's working on. And then I spent a lot of time, way too. I probably spent 8 hours doing something that would have taken you 20 minutes. Trying to we believe that documentation's always very important, but especially when we're wanting to build a third party community, a community of developers, not a third party community,
Yeah.
but the brain drive, Dave's building the
Yep.
foundation. But the idea here is because it's an MIT licensed open source system, we can build a community around it of developers and users that want to own their own AI system and build on their own AI system. But in order to do that, we need a system that's architected to make that easy, which is
Yep.
what Dave's vision is and what he's executing on. And we need people to be able to understand that. And
Yep.
we have a lot of documentation. We have a lot of examples that Dave's put together of example plugins and everything. And that documentation is good, but it's in these separate repos right now. And what I'm trying to do is make it so the documentation can stay in the separate repos, because if you land in a repo and you just want the
Yep.
documentation for that repo, there it is. But then there's also a centralized place where all the documentation lives. And if you're new to the project, you can land there on that homepage for documentation. And it's organized well, and it gets you up and running on the project really quickly, and everything's there in one place. And I'm sure for the developers listening to this call, that's kind of like a no duh thing. But not only am I looking to do that, but I want to make sure that we're not having to update things in multiple places. So if we update a document within the repo, it should automatically update the centralized site.
I would say, hold on, I'm going to cut off real quick
Yeah.
because of the fact that developers are notoriously bad at documentation.
Yeah.
So anybody who says, "Oh yeah, you should have been doing this," and then I would be, my first question is, "Let me see your example," because I know when I get coding, the last thing I'm doing is documentation.
Yeah.
I don't. It's like an afterthought. It's like I'm just go 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 go. That's it. So it's like, I mean, granted, documentation is needed. I believe in it. It's like, because I use it all the time for everything.
Right.
But I also know as a coder, it is, if I have one bad habit, is the fact of I'm always code centric versus documentation is always like, oh, that's right, I got to do that. And that's like doing
Yeah.
chores.
Great. So it can be a differentiator for the project.
Yep.
And also, I just think it's going to be people's first impression. If they land here and it's like, wow, this is really well
Yep.
organized and really well documented, it just makes us pro, which is what we're looking to be.
Mhm.
So that's the first reason I spent a lot of time on it. Oftentimes, I would try and get someone to help with this, because I do feel like we have a vision for this and we just need a developer to kind of execute on it.
Yep.
So normally that's the type of thing I would outsource, hopefully to the community one day, but for now to a contractor. But I do think documentation, information architecture is kind of my thing. And the more that I know how this works and can make the updates, the better, because it'll be better that way. Just like it'll be better if you know the whole architecture and technology
Yep.
foundation of the system. And it'll be faster and less errors and all that type of stuff. So that's number one. The second is because I'm actually learning how to use AI in new ways. What I've figured out randomly, again, probably if you're a coder, it's a no duh thing, is that I can have ChatGPT watch the terminal and give me, so I can just say, like, look at the terminal instead of like copying and pasting
Yep.
everything. And
You're about VS Code, right?
no, this is
Oh,
within ChatGPT.
oh, within ChatGPT? Okay.
GPT, yeah. So I'll show you here. Um, so let me share the screen, and I'm on a pro plan, so I don't know
Yep.
if this is pro only but oh gosh, now I have to share my. I bet I'm gonna have to restart, which I'm not gonna do right now. But let's just see if it'll allow me to do. No, I have to quit
Okay.
and reopen. All right. So anyway, you're in ChatGPT.
Yep.
You open the terminal. There's this little thing that pops up at the top that says "View Terminal." You click
Yep.
that, and then
Oh,
then
now I
I
know.
can just say "Look at Terminal," and
Yep.
it gives me the stuff. And I've got, and I knew this was going to happen, so I actually took a screenshot because the site crashed as I was working on it right before. So long story short, I've spent a lot of time on this. I
Yep.
think it's going to be worth it. I've got something to show today. And then I've also learned a lot. And I think I'm also learning about connectors and everything, which I think will help me with the marketing stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff you could do that coders are doing right now with these AI systems that's not as progressed. There's not as much out there in terms of people doing things with these systems
Yep.
like Claude Code, et cetera, for non-coding stuff
Yep.
like marketing. But I think you can do it. And if you're able to do it, it gives you superpowers. And one thing that I am, the first time in 15 or 20 years that I've been like, I now need like another monitor, because
Yep.
I
Oh.
want these things working, in the
Yep.
background, et cetera. So anyway, so I'm learning a lot as a part of the process. Obviously, eventually we want to be doing everything on BrainDrive,
Yep.
but seeing what the capabilities of the state of the art systems are right now helps with vision and all that type of
Oh
stuff as
yeah.
well. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I didn't get anywhere near as much done as I wanted to. So that's my excuse. But here's so I went back to Docusaurus, and the reason why is because all the AIs were recommending it for big projects that have a lot of different moving parts, which is going to
Yep.
be BrainDrive. Eventually, I think we might even be able to integrate documentation for third-party plugins into this and have a system for that, to better document even the plugins that the BrainDrive core team isn't working on, but community developers are working on. It allows you to do versioning very easy,
Oh,
which my understanding is we want people to be able to work off of different versions of things. And if
yep.
you have a documentation for version 2 of the core and we go to version 3, we still want the people that are on version
Yep.
2 to be able to see the documentation and be able to work on their version, basically,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. Because as we've talked about that since day one, basically.
Yeah. So it allows for versioning very easily, and it also allows for internationalization, which I imagine is becoming less important because you can just have AI translate things.
Yeah.
But to me, if I'm German and I land on a site that's in German,
Yep.
that sends the right message that we're looking to send, because we are looking to be a global
Yep.
project. And it's open source. So and it's by Facebook, who develop React, and our system is in React, so people are likely going to be familiar with that. So I went back to DocuSource because of that, and I have it now. I'll show you the screenshot since I crashed the site this morning. Oh, right. I can't share. I reset my computer and I have to.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have here, let me see if I can put this in the chat and maybe you can share, Dave. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, it
We
is
will
letting me
obviously
share.
have new material for next Monday.
It is letting me share.
Okay, there you go.
You
Yep.
can see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Um So it's ugly right now, but
Yep.
this is the core.
Yep.
And I didn't paste any of, like, this is coming directly from the root directory. So this is all of our documentation in there. And at the bottom of this page, there's an edit button. And when you click the edit button, it goes to the document on BrainDrive, and you can do PR right there.
Yep.
And then it updates this. So anytime we update a document on the whatever repos are integrated into our Docusaurus site, this updates automatically. And I think that's a big deal
Yes.
already. And I could definitely see it being a big deal when as the project grows and we have a lot more plugins and all that type of stuff. So this is local right now, and the error that I'm running into before I start cleaning it up and organizing it better is getting it pushed to GitHub. I'm in kind of an error loop, where I've hit, and I keep telling it to look at the terminal. It keeps giving me new stuff, but I'm on like the 6th or 7th iteration. And the
Ooh.
only other feeling I can compare to this is like when you're at the airport after like the 3rd time the plane gets delayed, it's going to be canceled. It might be 6 more times, but
With vibe coding, I have a rule of 3.
okay. And
If
then
it
what?
loops on me 3 times, I restart the chat. We're going to start all over.
Okay. So
That
start
because
all over
Yep.
and do you give it the context of where you've been?
Well, I focus when I have to do that. I tend to focus right off where the issue is, and I give it all the information it needs to succeed with that.
Yeah.
Because generally, what happens once it gets caught in a loop, for no less better, treat it like CAG. It's going to look to its own context for the answer, and it gave you a bad answer. So it's going to populate the bad answer again. And if 3 times tells me that it's caught in several bad answers, and it'll never, I've my experience, it never gets its way out. So I
Okay.
just kind of go, okay, you're done. And
And
I'll either do it myself, or I will open up another chat window with the AI, and I'll say, okay, we're going to approach this with a brand new context. Here's the issue. Here's the reference material you need. Go.
Got it. And the reference material is usually like the plan, and then like here's what we've done so far, and here's where we're at, and here's the error that we're getting, right?
Yeah, and each case will dictate that. It's like if you're doing something that has just tons of information, okay, or an entire plugin, I'll give it the plugin directory. There you go. You know, you can get all the information. If I want it only to know certain things to keep the context window smaller, I will give it the exact file that I want it to only look at and things. So it's like each case is a little different. Play it, but the rule of three is what I stick by because if I get past three, I know that I'm in what I call a death loop.
Okay. So I'm way past three. So all right. So that's that. And I do feel like I'm pretty close. It took me a long time to get it working locally, but once I got that, I just feel like pushing it to GitHub and is not going to be that big of a deal. And I understand how like the workflows work, and there's like these widgets that plugins, like
Yep.
GitHub has plugins.
Yep.
All right. So that's that. Let's go back over to the agenda here. All right. So for this week, what are we working on?
Let's see. This week I do not know. I don't think I'm going to be able to tackle the responsive issue that we had. I do want to spend a little time with the caching issue, which is the duplicate plugin or a plugin vanishing on the page builder. I do want to finish wrapping up Open Router. I do think that's important to get working. And right, like I said, right now, I think it's just a workflow between the chat plugin and then once I get that where it's hitting Open Router or whatever provider's installed, I will know if it's back if he has a backend issue. But it's not a lot of code. It's just a matter of the pieces being placed. So I'll coordinate with Matt, figure out where Matt's at in that, and Matt will dictate how fast I'm going to move into that one this week.
Okay.
I have, like I said, the caching issue on the back. I want to say I'm done right there, but I'm not. Yeah, if I get free to that much where I have the plugin, what do I have? Let me bring up issues. I didn't, where do I have issues at? There we go. Let's see. Oh, I have one code hardening for when doing plugins. So since we're on plugins, I'd probably want to spend a moment and take a look at what it's going to take to do a easy button on the lifecycle manager, because that seems to be our stopping point with developers right there. Every developer hits the lifecycle manager and they're like, what do I do with 900 lines of code?
Yeah.
So, well, and I'm pretty sure I can get it to the point where it should be one call for an average plugin, which is nothing more than a plugin and module, nothing getting fancy. It should be nothing more than here's JSON information. Give it to it, and it will take care of the rest. If you want to get fancy, the code is there to get fancy. I'm not going to take that away from you. But for the average plugin developer, they're really just dealing with here's the information, and now let a generic lifecycle manager load it and run it.
Okay.
And that should take a day or two to hammer out and get ready, because I'm not trying to recode anything. I'm just building you an easy button. And if we get that, like I said, that's the one stopping point for a lot of developers, because like Matt, Beck, even I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head. Karam, there you go. Who did the other plugins? They have no problem with React. They have no problem with the module concept and getting that working. The lifecycle manager seems to be that tripping point. So we'll make that easy or easier, and so that they can get running faster. And that way, even if a new developer comes along, they won't have that stopping point. It'll just be, here's the information, go.
Got it. Okay. So in terms of open beta,
Yep.
so I think let me just share again here. So launch goal to get people excited about the BrainDrive vision. That's what we talked about last week. Explain it clearly and concisely. mission, vision, pillars, personas. I think we've got that. Top three differentiators. I think we've got it. We talk about it every week. We're on the same page. Strong. Show our existing progress. So I don't think we need a lot here,
Yep.
but I think the things that we do show need to be polished, you
Yes.
know? So, and I think it's that, uh, it's that chat, the
Yes.
AI
Nope.
chat, right? Um, so, and I think we need Olama, which it feels like we're done, right?
Yep.
That's local
It,
models up and running. It's also an example plugin because we know the local community does not like Olama. A lot of the people, Katie doesn't care. Adam
yep.
there's 10 other things and
Yep.
10 other million reasons why you might like Llama CPP versus Olama or Olama versus Llama CPP. And there's 10 other ones,
Yep.
like that. But so it's not only that we have Olama, but we have an example that we can point developers to that it's like, it's the only limit is your imagination, right? If you don't
Yep.
like Olama, this is it's also a great opportunity for us to highlight the benefit of our system that you've developed
Yep.
is
Just
go crazy, go
yep.
wild.
And that's why we even earlier had said, okay, Open Router will be the first one we really
Right.
want working. So then it showed we're practicing what we preach.
Right.
We want that done, and now it'll sit there as an example of, hey, you're going to deal with somebody else's API, not Olama sitting there on your computer. This is how you handle the API key. This is how
Right.
you handle the connection. It's all in there. You just follow it, and somebody could follow behind me if whatever you had going on.
Right. Okay. So, right. So it's local models.
Yep.
We have the ability to run local models, and we have an example. If you want to use a different mechanism for running your
Yep.
local models, you can work off of our example to build your own. And we're going to continue to do that as well in the future. And then we have the API example, and we're focused on Open Router because that's the one that you can run anything.
Yep.
They're routing you to anywhere you want to run. But again, if you're like, I hate Open Router and I want to go directly to
Yep.
OpenAI, great. And we even have we have the example of that, and we even have a start,
Yep. Yep.
on that as well. So that's running local models. Beyond that, beyond the ability in AI chat, we have personas, which we believe is going to be a big deal.
Yep.
In terms of just, it's as simple as setting a system prompt, but for the average person to be able to do that easily and ground their chats within a certain persona, big deal.
Yep.
Then the page functionality, which allows you to have these different experts and not have to set everything up differently every time. Once you have your persona, once you have your model that you want to use, etc., there it is on the page. So to me, that's like the base experience
Yep.
of BrainDrive, right? And I feel like we're getting there to have that polish, but we're not there yet.
Correct, because we are missing like Matt's chat version. It
Right.
handles a lot of the the quirks and functionality, and also the feel we want to have somebody to have when they
Right.
get there.
Right.
And there's a reason why we haven't touched my basic start versus and waiting on his.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So that gets us right there. And then we start implementing personas so people have some out of the box to play with.
But
And
if someone wants to do a persona right now, that works, right?
that works.
Okay.
They can go
Yeah.
they can go to town.
Okay. So to me, if we have that,
Yep.
then we also have, even if not everything is working perfectly,
Yep.
it's built using the system that
Yep.
we're working on to build other things, right?
Yep.
So I don't think we need to have, there's a million different things that we can spend time working on,
Yep.
right? But giving people an MIT licensed polished chat experience that they can self-host and run locally or run in their own cloud or whatever, that's a big deal in and of itself. Yep. And the fact that it's built using the same system that we are going to be also that is MIT licensed, yep, part of this architecture, it's like that to me says if I'm a developer, okay, I give you some grace on this is buggy, that's buggy within the builder, but like you've shown that you can build something with this system that works really well with that's bug free, that's polished, and it's just a basic thing I understand, but like it's built using the builder. It's the
Yep.
first Lego thing,
It's the
right?
basic Lego set you get for Christmas. It's not Star Wars because that's down the road
Right.
when you
It's a
it,
little
yep.
cabin and you've put the Legos together. But the cool thing is, not only do you have this cabin now that you've built with the Legos, but you have access to the same Lego builder that we used to build this.
Yep.
Now, that Lego builder is a work in progress, right? But
Yep.
it works, you know what I mean, for this use case. And that's the example, and that shows the vision, right, of the
Yep.
thing. If we go out with that cabin and there's broken Legos in it, to
Yep.
me,
That's
that's
why you
not
said, what's this week? I'm like, I still have stuff to do. I still have to harden
right.
things and clean
Yeah.
up, mature this. Where, recognizing where stumbling blocks are going to be for developers.
Yeah.
And if I can smooth that on ramp right there better,
Right.
that will overall help the entire experience.
Yes. And I'm just, acknowledging
Yep.
like we're way past, original, launch.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think we've got a lot more than we originally planned. So, I'm totally fine taking
Yep.
another week, but it's like, is it going to be a month or like,
No,
what are
no.
we?
Okay, here's my view. Okay, if you're a developer and you can understand Python code, the lifecycle manager is not an issue.
Yeah. And so to me, having the polished, that first Lego thing
Yep.
built and functioning and built using our Lego maker,
Yep.
which is the only way to build it,
Yeah.
right? It's you can't do it another way, right?
And that's why it's like, and like you said, and that's why when Matt gets his, where I can take it and run, then Open Router will be working. We'll have Matt's polished chat working, and then we will be much closer to where you're talking about. Because that's what Matt has
Okay.
that
So
little
what is
linchpin right.
left to do on that? Because my thing is like, besides that, like that's everything
Yeah.
basically.
As soon as I figure out where Matt's at, if I can get his working, and then find out what he's doing left, because I don't know the status if he's done or does he have one more thing as well.
So he
Um,
sent me a message. Let's just see. He said, "Here's my to do." This is before. This is right. I don't think you'd had a chance to
yep.
post yet, but he said, "Optimize web search and document upload. Add setting support for Sir XNG. Complete model cancellation on back end. Dave J just came across a bug on BrainDrive Core that was working fine on my local setup, and so I reverted some changes until that is fixed. The chat plugin will still stop the model from streaming messages to the front end when the cancellation button is clicked."
Okay. So that tells me most of his work, except for that one issue, is dealing with stuff that we agreed initially can be hidden because we weren't targeting web search yet. We weren't targeting chat with documents yet on the chat
So
yet.
he thinks he's done with the stuff that you want for launch, right?
I think so. I,
Yeah.
I, I need to check the one issue that he said he took something out so that because of the bug I found. So what did he take out? That's the only thing. I need to
Okay.
figure that one out. But he sounds pretty close. I will give it an install today. If it
Yeah.
runs, I will modify his code to utilize the. I have to see what because who knows how he connected. But it's just a minor change to make sure that he is getting his models from the generic backend API, which exists already, versus targeting just Olama only. And that's why I was like I didn't want to change my chat program, my chat plugin because I need to change his because he's the one we're going to use.
Okay. So I would say, in terms of order of priority, the chat interface is more important than the API plugin. And the reason why I think that is the Lego cabin can work with
Yep.
Olama. And that's what people,
Yeah.
number one thing we care about and other people care about that want self user owned AI is being able to own and control your own model. We have that working now.
Yep.
So I would say figuring out the chat interface is number one. I know you have to wait for him on some stuff. So like I guess open router. Um I almost think the responsive stuff,
Yeah, hey, no,
is
exactly. That's why I was like, I have some hardening to do. The responsiveness came up, or the caching was first in my
yeah,
head. And the basically page builder issues were on my highlight as if I'm waiting for Matt, that's what I'm tackling.
right,
Is core issues. I'm not
right.
trying to get, I'm not touching open router because there's no point in it's done until I can get my hands on the chat.
Okay. So that means caching issues is the
Yep,
number one thing but for you, unless chat comes through. And whenever chat stuff comes through, that becomes number one. But
yep,
until then, it's caching issues.
yep.
Okay. Boom.
And if I get done with cache and he's still not done, I will move right into responsiveness.
Okay. So what do we think? So to me, it's like cache issue, because then also you can move, even if it's still difficult because we don't have the lifecycle manager, easy button, and
Yep,
et cetera
yep,
to build plugins. If you can move stuff around and it works, and you can
yep,
add and subtract stuff to a page, again, even if it was impossible to build a module, which is not, it's just
yep,
hard,
yep,
right? It's harder than we would like,
yep,
right? That, to me, if I'm a developer, it's like, okay, this concept works, it's been built, okay, they're working on making it simpler, but it
yep,
does work.
yep.
You know what I
It's just
mean?
like hold and just like you can even with the cache issue, you can all you have to do is get past the first initial when the cache plagues you, and you clean this, then you clean the interface up. You can build a page. It's that initial quirk that gets you right there, which
Right.
I view as important because that's the initial quirk. And
Yeah.
that's the first thing you see. So that's
Yeah.
why it was on my list first. Out of all
Yeah.
the issues, I'm tackling that one first.
Yeah. Okay.
But like you said, it's just a matter of that quirk will hit you, fine. The responsiveness, that's more of an eye thing, and you can get lost on the side. So that's why it took a second. But the big thing and the easy button, it's like, hey, lifecycle manager, I know it can be easier.
Okay. So um polish around the chat interface
Yep,
and the page builder bugs,
yep.
right? But that the page, besides caching and this overflow issue, is there any other
Nope, not
page
that I've
builder
seen.
bug?
I've been hitting on this thing nonstop, except for when I hit onto Open Router. It's been running smooth. It I know where the quirks are, and then I haven't found anything new on top of that.
When you say you know where the quirks are there additional quirks
No, that's like the
besides
cache. No, the caching and the responsiveness.
caching and
Nope,
responsiveness? Are there other quirks?
nope, not that I've seen.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if we if we're that feels like we're really close to me.
Yes, yep,
So we're not there quite yet. And the one thing I think I could, so here's the marketing go to market.
mhm,
Another, so hold on one second. So this is the 5-phase thing we talked about last week. Um, I can go ahead and switch over. There's no reason. Digital Brain Base is not
yep,
doing anything for us. I think we're good in terms of sending people to BrainDrive community and YouTube, et cetera, instead. So I can go ahead and do that. I don't want to start announcing to my network, not because I care. Like, I'm not worried about like it's got to be perfect before I
yep,
show anything. It's not an ego thing, but like I have some people that I think can really give us some good feedback.
yeah.
And like,
Best foot forward.
yeah, I mean, best foot forward would be like everything's done. You have to sort of, yeah, I think if we're close enough that like if it's another week,
Yep,
then I'd rather just wait and have the first Lego set polished and
yep,
done. And also the other thing I keep coming back to is if we know what we need to work on, right, it's a little less important to have other people giving us feedback,
Yep.
because almost like we know there's nothing anyone's going to tell us that we're like, we don't want to challenge a
Yeah.
polished chat experience. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yep.
mean? There's nothing anyone that's going to tell us that's going to say we shouldn't be prioritizing these two big remaining, but big is,
Yep.
but you know,
Yeah. Yep.
quality of life issues like around our core. Um, so, so I, you know, I think we're on the same page
Yep.
about that. So for this week, it'll just be digital brain based, but then I also still have stuff to work on now, which is finishing up the documentation
Thanks.
side and getting all that working and learning around that. And I can keep playing with, you know, setting up automated marketing, et cetera, with the stuff that I'm learning with the document stuff, which I'm excited to do now, and all the connectors and stuff that
Mhm.
I'm working with, which also helps with BrainDrive vision, et cetera, where we want to take that project. All right, so that's what I'll be doing this week. Yeah, and so it's just to tie a bow on that, polishing the chat interface, fixing the two bugs with the page
Yep.
builder, and that to me is like we're ready for open beta.
Yep.
Um, and then the next thing, if open router's close, I would say let's just knock it off
Yep.
because it's close, you know, and it'll be a big upgrade to the system to be able to use all those APIs. If it's not close, I would say making it easier to build. You know, I would say if the lifecycle manager easy button is something you can accomplish in a couple days,
Mhm.
that to
I,
me is like, because then we're like, here's the Lego set, here's the first here's the Lego maker. Here's the first Lego set.
mhm.
Here's the Lego maker, and here's our user guides, you know, along with all the documentation and examples and stuff on how to make your own Lego set. That to me is really strong.
Yeah, no, it is. And open router, I do not foresee needing to be completed much. It's just a matter of getting the chat interface to know what to call so it can get the new models
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And then make sure, of course, for doing the actual chat, that might open up a can of worms, but I'll know really quick. And then do we need to just change gears right there and not make open router a requirement?
Okay. That sounds
Um,
good to me.
yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to discuss today on the live call?
Nope, that works.
All righty.
We've had
So
a pretty
this
good
call
week.
happens every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and I post the recording along with an AI-powered summary on our community over at community.braindrive.ai. So we'd love it if you participate in the live call or see us over and join us over at community.braindrive.ai, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.